let's dive right in. In the next few minutes, we're going to demystify the cyber threats that are, let's be honest, constantly knocking at our digital doors. The goal here is pretty simple. If you know your enemy, you can build a much, much better defense. So I want you to just think about this for a second. What is your biggest digital weakness? Is it maybe a password you reuse everywhere? Or that habit of jumping on free public Wi-Fi at the coffee shop? Or, just clicking on a link without really thinking? It's a tough question because the real answer, well, it's a little more complicated than just one thing. See, the thing is, our vulnerability isn't just a single point of failure. Modern cyber attacks are really sophisticated, and they target us on 3 totally different fronts, 3 different battlefields. And understanding these is absolutely the first step to locking down our digital lives. So what are these 3 fronts? Well, first, you've got our systems. Then there are our networks, and maybe most importantly, there's us, the people using it all. Each one of these is vulnerable in its own unique way. So let's break it down. We're going to look at attacks on the machine itself, then on the connection that links everything together, and finally, we'll talk about the attacks that try to hack the human mind. Let's start with the machine. All right, our first front, the system. We're talking about the servers, the hardware, the actual infrastructure that powers all our favorite websites and services. And the classic weapon of choice here is something called a DDoS attack. DDoS, or distributed denial of service, it's really all about brute force. An attacker gets control of a huge army of compromised computers. It's called a botnet, and just commands them to flood a target with so much junk traffic that it gets completely overwhelmed. It simply can't handle any real requests from people like you and me. To really get it, just imagine millions of cars all trying to get onto a tiny 1-lane street at the exact same time. It's total gridlock, nothing gets through. That is exactly what a DDoS attack does to a website. And, the attacker's goal here isn't always to steal data directly. Sometimes it's just about causing chaos, maybe knocking a competitor's website offline, or even creating this massive noisy distraction so they can pull off another, quieter attack somewhere else. Okay, so that's the system. Let's move to the second front. If the system itself is locked down, attackers will go after the next best thing, the connection, that flow of data between you and the server. And this is where the man in the middle comes into play. With this kind of attack, someone basically wedges themselves secretly between you and the service you're trying to connect to. So you think you're talking directly to your bank's website, but you're actually talking through a malicious eavesdropper who's listening to everything. And this is why everyone always warns you about unsecured public Wi-Fi. It's the perfect hunting ground. An attacker can set up a fake network or just exploit a weak one to intercept every single thing you send and receive. Passwords, credit card numbers, the whole shebang. Their goal here is pure and simple: theft. Which brings us to our third and, honestly, often the weakest front. So what happens when the system is hardened and the network is encrypted? Well, attackers go after the softest target of all: us. This is the art of social engineering. Social engineering completely bypasses technology. This isn't about finding flaws in code. It's about finding flaws in human nature. It's a con game that plays on our basic instincts, our trust, our fear, our desire to be helpful. And it comes in so many different flavors. Phishing emails are obviously the most common one we all see, but it can also be a fake executive asking for a wire transfer, a scammer calling you on the phone, that's called vishing, or even that scary software that pops up and tells you you have a virus. I mean, come on, who hasn't seen an email exactly like this? It's designed to create this instant sense of panic, of urgency, to get you to click before you have a chance to think. This is the hook. This is the bait they use to reel you in. Okay, so we've got attacks on systems, on networks, and on people. It can feel like a lot. So the big question is, how do we possibly defend against all of this? The answer is you need a unified plan that addresses every single one of those fronts. So let's just pull this all together. For those system attacks like DDoS, your key defense is strong infrastructure and firewalls. To stop network attacks like the man in the middle, you need to be using encryption and VPNs. And for the attacks on people, well, the best defense is simply knowledge and awareness. At the end of the day, it really boils down to a 2-pronged approach. You need strong technology guarding the gates for sure, but you also need a sharp, aware human being who's making the final decisions. One without the other is just a recipe for disaster. So here are your action items. First, educate yourself. Learn to spot the red flags of a phishing attempt. Second, use the tools you have. I'm talking about strong, unique passwords and multi-factor authentication. MFA is not optional anymore, folks. And of course, keep your software and firewalls updated all the time.
And if you take away one thing, let it be this. A firewall can't stop you from clicking a malicious link. A VPN can't stop you from giving your password to a scammer on the phone. The technology is your shield, absolutely, but you are the one holding it. And that brings us to a final, pretty big thought. As attackers start using AI to make their scams more convincing and their attacks way more sophisticated, it really forces us to ask, where does the real weakness lie? Is it in the code we write or in the human wiring we can't change? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.